Hey guys, it's Jessica here. So around 2 months ago, I have encountered this book, Pachinko. Pachinko is a literature and also a New York Times bestseller written by the Korean-American best-selling author Min-jin Lee. Since it's made by a Korean-American author, the original copy of this book is in English. As you can see, this one is in English. And a short description over here says a deep, broad, addictive history of Korean family in Japan. As you guys heard of it, this book really resonates deeply to me as a Korean, and the same thing for many other Koreans as well, because it is involving the Korean history with Japan. Guess what? I never read the English copy. I only read the Korean copy over here. The Korean copy is divided into 2 different books over here. Upon reading this book really reminded me of some other book, which was Noli. Since Pachinko is a book that also shows you the overall conditions of the country of Korea during the 20th century, and it also shows you the significance of history, that's basically Noli for the Filipinos. So Noli, the full title is Noli mi Tangere. In a nutshell, talked about the political situation in the Philippines, specifically about the brutality and injustices during the Spanish colonization period. So the first time I read, or I was, I guess, kind of forced to read Noli, just like all these students out there in the Philippines, was in grade 11. Shamefully enough, I wasn't able to read the Filipino version because my Filipino isn't that great, so I read the English version. I have the English copy and also a Filipino copy at home back in the Philippines. But since now I'm in Korea, and I really wanted to read Noli again, I was like, oh my god, I'm so inspired to read different historical books after reading and enjoying Pachinko so much. So I searched up Noli mi Tangere in a Korean website in Hangeul, and as kind of expected, it did not come up. So I was like, what about type in the English title, which is Touch Me Not? But then nothing showed up again. So I kind of gave up finding Noli in Korea. Maybe it's a sign that I should really go to the Philippines to reread that book. I really wanted to read the book once again because, even if you read the same book that you have read before, it hits different when you read it again later on when you have aged a little or depending on where you are in life, it just hits very different. So I wanted to read it again because the time when I read it in grade 11, to be honest, like half forced to read it and half it was interesting. So yeah, this time it was coming 100% from my own free will. But then of course I couldn't find it until I typed in the Korean translated title, 나를 만지지 마라. So I searched it and there was the one and only Korean copy of Noli. Yay! So that's how it looks like. Yeah, if you open the book, there is the biography of Rizal in Korean. Just like how Pachinko was divided into 2 different books when it was translated in Korean, this is also divided into 2 different books, but I only got the first copy. I have to buy the second copy, and oh my god, it's too hard, it's too difficult. Noli in English, as far as I remember, it wasn't that hard, but translated in Korean, like I don't understand. Like every page, I have a word that I don't know in Korean, so I have to search it. Like, oh, what is blah 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 in English? The publisher of this book says this. 이미 번역되었어야 했고 마땅히 읽어야 했을 아시아의 민족주의를 만들었던 그 소설을 국내 초역으로 읽는다. Noli is such a great book, so I thought this was translated in many different countries, including Korea, but I was surprised that in the beginning there was no translated copy of Noli, although I did find it, but this is the one and only copy, guys. And this is a message from one of the endorsements. 필리핀 국민소설 나를 만지지 마라가 한국에 소개되어 참으로 놀랍고 반갑습니다. 한국과 필리핀은 고통의 세월을 이겨내고 자주 독립국가를 이루어낸 경험을 공유하고 있습니다. 저자와 동시대 사람들의 자유로운 정신과 숭고한 이념이 깃든 이 소설을 통해 한국과 필리핀 양국 국민의 공감과 유대가 폭넓게 이루어지길 바랍니다. Wow, well written! And then it also says that 필리핀과 필리핀 사람들을 더 잘 이해하기 위하여 읽어야 할 소설. Oh, that's right. That's right. So the translator is Kim Dong-yup. He actually went to UP. So he went to UP for his master's, and he has made a research paper on the viability of ASEAN countries. And later on in 1990s, he made a paper on Korea and the Philippines telecommunication service industries liberalization policy. Wow, that sounds very interesting, but it sounds very difficult at the same time. But just in case you're wondering about the price of this book, it was 12,500 won. If only I knew how to speak in Spanish. I really hope that I read this book again, Noli, in Spanish, the original copy, because it's always best to read the original copy so you can really get the direct connection of the book from what the author intended. So as all of you guys may know, Noli was written originally in Spanish. And I actually have seen one of the Spanish copies, like in really huge size. And it says that under Republic Act of number 1425, otherwise known as an act to include the curricula of all public and private schools, colleges and universities, courses on the life, works and writings of Jose Rizal, particularly his novels, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. Oh, so it's actually required for reading for grade 9 students, third year students. Why did I read it in grade 11? I read Noli and El Fili both in the same year in grade 11. And I remember we were tasked to make a play about Noli in school. And before we went on with making the script of Noli, because we were supposed to make the script as well, we were to analyze the characters of Noli. So Ibarra, Maria Clara, Damaso, Elias, Sisa. So by the time in grade 11, I was the class rep and I was one of the student council members. So of course I had the kind of leader roles, I guess, in terms of different school activities. And one of my classmates, she's my very, very good best friend now, but she called me bossy, and I don't remember how it happened, but one or two of the classmates told me that I should be Damaso. Just because of those characteristics. I was like... Anyways, back to Noli. In the novel's dedication, Rizal talks about a type of cancer so terrible that the sufferer could not bear to be touched, and the disease was thus called Noli Me Tangere. Rizal believes that his country suffers from a social cancer. I do think that all the both moral and social lessons brought up in Noli are still very extremely relevant in the Philippine society today. So Noli definitely created lots of different impacts to the country of the Philippines once it was published. So his writings became a constant and inspiring source of patriotism. In addition, a catalyst for the movement of independence in the Philippines as well. And what made his novels powerful was the very act of writing. The phrase that goes along with his name, the power of pen, that really resonates deeply, not only with me, but I think with anyone out there. So I do think that that's another lesson that can be applied in today's society, which can be taken as that we don't fight with violence, but we fight with intelligence. Oh my god, that sounded so cringy, I'm so sorry, but you know what I mean by intelligence. This Noli Me Tangere serves as a warning. We read it not just for history, but read it with the fresh eyes of the present. For Rizal once noted, the slaves of today will be the tyrants of tomorrow. So I guess that leaves us with the message that we shouldn't just throw away this book just because it was on the mandatory reading list back in our high school days. I think it's also important and meaningful for us to take the time to rethink about the lessons and messages from this book, acknowledge and even up to the level of embracing all of them so that we can fight for the better future for our country. I also highly recommend Pachinko. You could probably find this in Fully Booked or National Bookstore. I think this is an amazing book. It's a very easy read. Alright guys, so that was a fun little book recommendation and talking about Noli video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye!